Good morning, my dear ones, and welcome into the sanctuary. How are you all today? Okay, that was a bit better than usual. We're all great and grand and wonderful. Give yourselves a round of applause. And a high five. Yes. Well, today we need our energy up because we're tackling the great subject of perfect relationship. And everybody goes, yeah, perfect, or no such thing. Well, I have to say there actually is such thing as perfect relationship. And this week you and I are asked to contemplate that and to be open up to the idea of perhaps being a participant in it. And so if you go to the dictionary, as I love to do, and you look up the word relationship, you get all kinds of words. But the ones that jumped out at me were connection, engagement, involvement, bonding, and kinship. And so these were the words that conjured up relationship. And I thought, how wonderful is that? Because here it is, this thing called relationship, the most diverse, important, and essential thing that you and I could know about life and participate in life is relationship. The game we play as we move along the board of relationship is exactly that. Our interconnectivity with each other and with all of life, regardless of what seems to be going on inside of ourselves and outside of ourselves. No matter how separated, disjointed, and so on we feel, it's a nonsense. The truth is, I am always connected to my source, and my source is omnipresent, lives in everything, so I'm always connected to everything. If I'm always connected to everything, I am affecting everything with every thought I think and every word I speak and every feeling I entertain, and everything I do affects every single thing. If I go up in the world, I take the world with me. If I go down in the world, I take the world down with me. That's just how it is. That's how significant, how important that each and every one of us is, and each and every thought, feeling, and so on we entertain. That's how important. So, yes, we can enjoy perfect relationship. How? It must be a conscious relationship. A conscious relationship. Once upon a time, there was a young monk, as I was sharing this morning, who entered a monastery, and while he was a novice, one of his great spiritual practices was that he had to be present and pay attention to every single thing he did every single day and night. This was a 24-hour-a-day thing. Be present to what you're doing. Be present, be present, be present. Nothing else need bother you. Just be with what it is that you're doing, engaged in, is before you. And so this went on through his novitiate, and he was thinking, one day, I'll be finished with this, and then when I become like the masterful people around me, I'll go on to bigger and greater and better things. Well, 60 years later, here he is having to be mindful of every single thing that he is doing. And the understanding and the wisdom has come to him with regard to how and why this is so necessary. And the young fellow was Thich Nhat Hanh, once upon a time. And so consciousness is what makes your life and my life a much richer and more fulfilling and more accomplished life. Conscious awareness of what I am doing. Let me tell you, I don't know about you, but that puts me to the pin of my collar. It takes me all of my efforting, and it is efforting sometimes, to be present to everything that I am doing. And much of the time I'm not. I have to pull myself back, rein myself in, get with that. Get with it. Get with what I'm doing right here and right now. And that means no rushing through this so that I can get to that. Like the March Hare. Always running and always rushing. And I sang you the song before, and you're still probably not over it, but I apologize for that. And I won't sing it again, but You know, it's that running. I remember Father Murphy in one village town in Ireland, you know, he'd say, "Hi, Father, how are you doing?" He'd say, "Sure, I'm running. He was always running. And so, my dear ones, this is the exact opposite to running. All right, we're a spiritual community. We are here. We are here because we know that it is important where two or three gather together. There is this wonderful, added, abundant energy in the midst of us. And that vortex of Christ-conscious energy, the Buddha mind, and so on, is much more potent and powerful when we all come together under a common cause. We're here under a common cause. We're here to awaken ourselves to our spiritual magnificence and humanity too, by creating a world, a compassionate world that works for everybody. That's why we're here, united under the one flag. And so we say to ourselves, well, what can we do? What can we do? How can we make the difference? How can we fix? How can we mend? How can we save the world? How can we save the world out there? It's the wrong question. It's out of place. The first question is, how do I serve, not save, how do I serve the world in here? There's where I go first. To be consciously and mindfully aware, I come here. In relationship with the great self of myself is where the work gets done and where the inspiration and guidance comes with regard to how to serve the world out there and make the difference. So that's where I have to be. I love the story about Rabia. Rabia was this amazing mystic, and she was known as the most precious of all women ever born. None could hold a candle to her. And she used to befriend, or was in a friendship, with another great mystic called Hassan. And of course, he was not on the same echelons of spiritual society at all, but they often encountered each other. So one morning, Hassan is out and the sun is rising and it's glorious and the birds are singing and the branches are dancing, and he comes up to the little home of Rabia and he says, Rabia, come out, come out. The sun has risen, the birds are singing, the trees are dancing, and God's creation is blissful. And laughingly, Rabia says, well, the creator of all of the trees and the birds and so on is within. Why would I come out? I am enjoying the presence of the creator himself. And I am in the song of the creator. And I am in the dance of the creator. Why would I come out? Hassan, come in, come in, come in. Are you finished with the outside yet? You see. And so the first response from you and me always ought to be an interior response, not an exterior one. Our consciousness needs to go within, not without, so that we can truly be those beacons of light that we're here to be, and be the succeeding vanguard that we have agreed to be. That's why we came in, blessed be each and every one. We came in with the intention of being a very real and present help here on this plane as we move through this state of acute transition. Perfect relationship. You say to yourself, okay, where does that fit in? When I do look out into the world, and when I look into my own life and the lives of all those around me, and I see how we are so unkind with each other, when I see how we so upset and we disturb and we niggle and we pull down each other so much, we talk about each other, we gossip about each other, we do all of these things to each other and harm ourselves in doing so. And more than that, look at all those marriages that break down in divorce and disturb and upset families. Not to mention, on the global level, the 65 million people who are undergoing the immense hardships of war and famine and natural disasters and hunger and poverty and desperation and displacement. What about all of that? Well, what indeed about all of that? And we look out there and we say, it's just too much. The world is hemorrhaging. I can't stop the bleeding. I can't stop the bleeding. One person can't do enough. At the moment, I don't know about you, but you need to have a very deep pocket at the moment to monetarily help all of the causes that are so deserving of being helped just now. And do it we must. We must do this. And know that divine providence always provides, and you cannot outdo God in generosity, and what goes out there comes back at you, pressed down and spilling over as an increased blessing. So where are we with all of this? Are we going to hunker down? Are we going to be frightened? Are we going to be afraid? Are we going to be scared? Are we going to look out there and say the apocalypse is upon us and we're going to hell in a handbasket and we're going to blow ourselves up? Is that what we're going to do? No, we are so not going to do that. Do you know how many generations throughout the eons have said that and felt that and taught that? Why is it then that we're still here? Because good always triumphs. That's why good always triumphs. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We will not be afraid. And we will not allow the nonsense of the frightened, egoic personality of us to suck the energy out of us so that we become less than we are created to be and not get our work done that we're here to participate in and succeed at. And so remember, it's you and you and you and you and you and all of us in this room and everybody on the planet that are called in some individualized way to make the difference. And to know, I mean really and truly know, if you believe in the presence and the power of Spirit and the grace of divine providence and its omnipresence, there's not a place you can go where you will not be without it or in it. No place. The darkest, most dingy, most horrible, dreadful place. There will be the glowing, bright, amazing, incredible presence if you know it, if you allow it, if you wake up to it, if you truly have absolute faith that this is so. You can go anywhere on this plane and you will be safe, absolutely safe. These have been the promises since time immemorial, and not just across the board of Christianity, but all the great religions. You cannot not succeed and fulfill and achieve your reason for being here if you are in close proximity and connection with your source. But it's not going to happen without that big, wonderful relationship being part of your life and living. Not at all. So the first place we go always is to the self, the great self of ourselves, the great Holy Spirit of life within us. And we allow that to totally absorb us and totally embrace us. And then out of the joy that we feel as a result of that, having been picked up out of the darkness of ignorance and the darkness of feeling separate from our source, our prayer will become a prayer of praise, of gratitude, of love, of joy, of peace that passes understanding. Never one word of utterance will pass our lips with regard to, please God, give me. That's not what true and real deep prayer is about. Real and true and deep prayer is about me embracing the embrace that never stops embracing me, and knowing and feeling and allowing the understanding and appreciation of I am held and loved by a love that will not let me go. I mean, how many times have we to be reminded of this before we start, I'm saying start to really say, perhaps there's truth in those words. Perhaps that is the truth. Perhaps I could feel that. Perhaps I could know that. Perhaps I could pray like that. Because when I do, there's a wholeness developed. There is a confluence of mind, body, heart, and soul, of the individual expression of spirit that I am, and of all of life, coming together in this confluence, and within it, because where God is, there can only be God and nothing else. Within that, all that I think needs to be healed is healed, and I don't have to mention it. Because I'm in the presence of God and God's presence is in me, and therefore I'm experiencing wholeness. I cannot experience anything else because only God can know God, only God can be in God's company. And that's why we're told when you enter into the inner room, the inner closet, the upstairs room, take off your shoes and leave them outside. That means take off your ego and your personality and leave them outside. And allow your divinity to go in there. Be the song, be the dance, be all the good that God is in that moment of total at-one-ment. That's the way we can all know God. That's the way we can all be in prayer. And we don't have to be anything else. We are not beggars. We are not paupers. We were not invited to plead and beg and bargain with our source. No great one ever asked us to do that. Not at all. We are told that we are loved beyond measure. We are told, come to me, all you who labor and are burdened. Surrender all of that stuff, and you will be refreshed, because I am with you as I have always been, and I shall always be with you, like it, lump it, or not. I will always be the biggest part of your existence, your life. Your very breath is what I am. There's no getting away from me, none whatsoever. So get used to the idea. Get used to the idea. And maybe you'll just start liking the idea. And if you like the idea, maybe you'll be open to understanding and realizing you are already in the perfect relationship with your source. And that there's nothing for you to do or to attain. You cannot become better than you are now. You cannot become more good than you are now, because you are the image, you are the likeness of the creator of your being. And that image, that likeness of your creator is whole, perfect, and complete, and good, and very good. Was it not spoken over all of creation? Good and very good. And you, my dears, are the pinnacle of creation. That's what you are. We are the stewards of creation. We get to guard creation. We get to nurture and nourish creation. We get to take care of creation. We've been honored with the privilege of being the gatekeepers and the stewards that take care of creation. And when you and I are in that connection with our source, we are doing exactly that. So we have to remember, it's very simple. It all boils down to this. How am I going to be the best of myself and cope with everything that's going on? Did not the beautiful master teacher Jesus say it simply? Love God. Love your neighbor. Love yourself. With the understanding that the love that Jesus was talking about is the one unconditioned and unconditional love, the very same love for God, for neighbor, for self, the very same love for the tree, for the flower, for the ant, for the mountain, for all of life. It's the one love. There's no other love. And it's unconditioned and unconditional. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is never jealous or envious. Love is never boastful or rude. Love is always rejoicing over justice and never appreciates anybody getting their comeuppance. Love is always on the side of, at the back of the loved one, and always expects good of everyone. Love is constant. There are many great gifts and powers in the world, but only 3 remain, and these 3 are faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. It's like we've never heard this before. If you and I had $1 for every time we heard this kind of thing, I'm telling you we could retire very, very well, regardless of age, at 13 or 113, and live a very good life and share, enough to share with everybody too. Because we not only hear it from the outside, we hear it from the inside all the time. Oh, come to me. Come to me when you're bored. Surrender. Only surrender. We sing it. Surrender. I surrender. I relax, I release, and I let go. And when I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. That's what we sing. That's what we say. That's what we read. That's what we tell each other. That's what we talk about. But what is it doing to you as an individual and me as an individual? All power is with you. All power. You lack nothing. Nothing. Why? Because you have a mind and a heart and a soul, and you have the consciousness to embrace who you are and what you are and whose you are. And you can be whatever you decide to be if you back it up with your thinking, and you back it up with your feeling, and you back it up with your doing. And the action must go under your decision. A decision made, an intention made is useless if there's no action underneath it, backing it up. So who do you want to be? What do you want to be? A puny, feeling, individual human being that thinks you're not enough. You're not ready yet. You're not equal to it yet. You haven't got yet. You're not there yet. You have this to do and that to do before you're ready, before you're there. It's the greatest load of baloney you could tell yourself or anybody else. You're there. There is only there. There's only here. There's only now. I've never been anywhere else except here and now. Have you? Never. I've tried to be over there. I've tried to be back there. But as yet, I don't have the gift of bilocation. I've been trying. I haven't got... Maybe cloning is the answer. I'm not sure. But here and now is all there is, and it is enough. And you are enough, and you are already the difference. So get up, get out there, and make the difference. And so it is.